Good morning. How are we today? We are going to have an entire puppetry workshop today. Puppetry is when you can make anything come to life. It could be a hand puppet. It could be a marionette. It could be a puppet that goes on top of your hand. Is the kind of puppet we're going to make today together. There's so many different types of puppets that we could make, but the one we're going to make today is super easy, and I know that you could do it at home too. The first thing we need to do is we need to warm up our bodies, because in puppetry, it takes our bodies to turn these objects into living, breathing objects. Okay? So the first thing we need to do is we need to stretch, and the first thing we need to stretch is our arms, right? Our arms. So we're going to reach our arms into the sky. We're gonna reach. Do you think I can touch the clouds from here? Oh my gosh, we're gonna reach up on our tippy toes. We're then gonna drop our wrists, and then we're gonna drop our elbows, and then we're gonna drop our shoulders, and then we're gonna drop our necks, and then we're gonna go all the way down and touch our toes. Tickle your toes, bringing it back up, 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 bringing it back up. And you're gonna go all the way up to touch the sky. And we're gonna go over to our right or your left, whatever suits you best. And we're gonna go over to the other side. Other side, stretching, stretching, stretching. Ooh, one more time, stretching, stretching, stretching. One more time, stretching, stretching, stretching. And then go backwards. See if you can go all the way backwards and then come down slowly back to your toes. Coming up, coming up, coming up, coming up, coming up. And because we want to make sure our hands are nice and warmed up, we're going to put our hands right by our ears. Right by our ears. And we are going to go like this. We're gonna flash our hands like this. Flash your hands as fast as you can. We're gonna hold it for like 10 seconds. Oh, it's gonna burn, it's gonna burn. And we're gonna go a little faster, 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 faster. Wow, my hands are starting to feel pretty powerful, right? My hands are gonna feel powerful. Let's just do a nice arm stretch across our chest. A nice arm stretch across your chest. And pull, 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 and let it go. And we're gonna do the other one across our chest, across our chest. We're warming up our puppetry bodies. We have to be so ready for the puppets that we're gonna put on our hands and let it go. And now we're gonna work our shoulders, because our shoulders are gonna be nice and tense from sleeping, right? So we need to wake up our shoulders, and we're gonna do that by lifting up and go to your ears and shoot them down. And go up to your ears and go down. And go up to your ears and go down. And now we're gonna go really fast. Go really fast. Jumping your shoulders up and down. Jumping your shoulders up and down. And bring it down. Take a deep breath in. And take a deep breath out. Take a deep breath in. And take a deep breath out. Wow, so now it's time to get started on our puppetry lesson. Are you feeling warmed up? Are you ready to make a puppet? Because I sure am. So you're gonna need a few materials. Some of the materials you're gonna need are, you're going to want a flimsy cardboard box. You could use a Pop-Tart box. You could use a cereal box. You could use a granola box. You could use a juice box. Any type of box that has easily movable cardboard. So you want to have that. The next thing you're going to need is you're going to need some tape. This is masking tape. It's so important to our masks, or not our masks, we're making puppets, but it's another way you can make masks too. But you want to use this tape because this will bind, this will stick to the cardboard, and so it's going to be nice and sturdy. The next thing we're going to want, of course, is different colors of paint. I got some of my favorite colors out. Pink, purple, blue, yellow, green, red. I always have black paint on hand because I can do little tiny details on the face, and also a very light aqua blue. That's one of my favorite colors. Another thing we're gonna need is we're gonna need maybe some fun things for some hair. So some things I brought for some hair today are some yarn. I always use rainbow yarn. And if you could find any of this, this is really awesome. But other things you could use are pipe cleaners, or you could use leaves, or you could use googly eyes. You could use anything. Hair can be made out of anything. And same with the eyes, or a beard, or a mustache, or crazy wild hair. You can use anything for that hair. So to get started, I just want to introduce you to a little tiny friend. This is my hand puppet. We're going to be making very similar hand puppets to this. Little hand puppets that we could see. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to need to cut our box. I'm choosing the Cinnamon Toast Crunch box because this box is bigger and I can make strips. And the other thing you're going to need is you're going to need some scissors. So we're going to cut some strips out of our box. See how fast I could do this. Boop, boop, boop. And you'll need to make 3 strips out of your box. One, two, 3. And look, I have 3 strips for my box. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our box strip, our first one, whichever one is the biggest. You want to try to find the biggest strip, the one that you cut, and that's going to be our base for our puppet head. And all you're going to do is you're going to take a little teeny tiny piece of tape, and you just want to make sure that this won't fall apart or undo itself while you're making your puppet. So you just want to make sure it has a little bit of tape all the way around, so it can sit and you can go on to the next part. Which the next part is we're going to take this strip, and it should be nice and bendy like this, and we're going to connect it to our circle strip. We're going to connect it to our circle strip just like this. You're going to pinch it and you want to make it flush, meaning that it's right on the edge of the other strip that we already turned into a circle. And we're going to take this one and we're going to tape a little bit right here, tape a little bit right there. And you just need a little piece of tape if you wanted to, just in case. You might want to put another little piece right here. And we're taking this piece and we're putting it on, and then bada bing, bada boom. And now look, we now have almost a very strange alien looking head that has a big hole. And that's going to change in just a second because we're going to make sure that this is taped down after you've flushed it against the circle strip. And look, boom, we have our other strip. And I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other side, is I just made sure that our strip on the inside has a little tape on it, right? And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the last strip and we're going to put it on top of the other dome. So now we got 2 domes going on, and I have to say, I think that looks a little bit more like a puppet head. Looks a little bit more like a puppet head. But doing the same thing, just like we did before. And this part could take a little second because it is hard to move the cardboard. So you might have to just have some patience, which puppetry is, you have to have patience, because that's how we make things come to life. Some of my favorite puppetry TV shows are Sesame Street. I love Sesame Street. I love the Muppets. Have you ever seen the Muppets? Those are all puppets. Have you ever seen the Mandalorian? Little baby Yoda? That's a puppet. There's a lot of puppets in Star Wars. But look, now I have the beginnings of my puppet head. Oh, I'm so excited. So we have a big piece of tape because now we have to tape every single inch of this puppet head, every single inch. So what I like to do is I like to get a big strip started, and I'm just going to go all the way around the town, all the way around my puppet head. Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. And however your puppet head turns out, that is okay. You can always envision of what you want your puppet to look like, but sometimes because it is materials we're working with that are cardboard and tape, sometimes our sculptures, our puppets are gonna look a little different than we want it, and that's totally okay. It's always better to see what happens at the end, because then you might be able to see what type of character you want to make out of your puppet. Here we go. Here we go. Ah, ha, ha. I always also like to tape the inside just because it's going to feel nicer on your hand. It'll be a little more cushioned. So if you want to throw some tape in the middle of your puppet head, that is going to be totally okay. And we're going, and we're going, and we're going, and we're going. I'm pretty sure I've gotten most every bit of cardboard. Every bit of cardboard must be covered by tape, because the next part is one of my favorite parts of our adventure. We get to pour some of this yummy, yummy, boogery glue, and we're gonna pour it into a little container. You wanna make sure it's enough container, big enough a container that you could maybe put a little water inside of it. I don't have water with me today, but using just the paste will work for today. But we're gonna take a paintbrush. I would take a bigger paintbrush that has a bigger surface, because what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to paste our puppet. You wanna make sure every part that's connected to the cardboard, all the tape, is covered in glue. This glue will help stick to the cardboard all the tape. Blop, 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 blop. Blop, 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 blop. Blop, 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 blop. It's just going to be easier to paint now and put things on our puppet head. And look at that. That is glued if I've ever seen it. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Beautiful. Now, we need it to dry for a second. So while we're letting this dry for a second, it needs about, I would say, wait about 10 minutes. We're not going to wait 10 minutes while we're doing this, so I can show you all the steps. But I would wait about 10 minutes to let this dry, just because you want the paste to be nice and hard so it doesn't mix with all the glue, you know? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our paints. So I started with some red. I'm going to recommend picking 3 paints, 3 very different colors. So I did a bright red color. And I did a bright red color. And I'm also going to do a purple, because I love the color purple so much. And I wonder if you could guess what the last color I'm going to pour into my little paint bucket. And if you guessed the aqua blue, because it is my favorite color, you were correct. Here we go. And I'm just going to do a little bit of the blue, because I think I'm going to use the purple for my base. So I always put whatever hand that you use to paint or to draw or to write, that's the hand you're going to want to put the puppet on the opposite. So I'm putting it on my left hand because I write with my right hand. And you want to do that just because it'll be so much less messy if you're able to paint with one hand and see where your face is going to be. So now the next thing we want to do is we need to find, before we start to paint, where on our puppetry head is our face. I'm gonna be wild, and I actually think my face is gonna be somewhere right here. I'm gonna do it on an angle because my puppet head has become kind of boxy. So I think it would be cool to have an eyeball here and maybe an eyeball here, just maybe like a shark or something like that. But let's see how our paint turns out. So we're gonna begin to paint. Begin our painting, painting, painting. Painting, painting. The secret to puppetry, the secret I have to puppetry is that anything can be a puppet. You can turn any object into a puppet. And look at all of this beautiful purple. Purple. I have turned so many things into puppets. I've turned a pan into a puppet before. I've turned a stick into a puppet before. I've turned matzah into a puppet before. I've turned a pom-pom into a puppet before. So many ways that you can think about how our objects can come to life. And you can tell so many awesome stories with puppetry. There's also different types of puppetry like shadow puppetry. Shadow puppetry is another one I really love to make. Because you only have to have a light, like a flashlight, and then you also will need some paper, and that's it. And then you could put that on a stick, and then you could tell full shadow puppetry stories in your own home. It's really fun to do shadow puppets on a rainy day. And look how beautiful it is outside today. Look at this purple monster puppet. And so if you do a full coat of paint on your puppet, you want to make sure you get all the tape. You just want to make sure you're getting all the tape so that the least amount of tape is showing, because we don't want to show them our tricks, right? Look at that beautiful, beautiful work, and boom. And as you can see, I only got a little bit of paint on my fingers and on my hands. But then now look, we're going to, and if you had a cup of water, I would dip in your brush right after you paint so that you could get all of the paint off. And you can have a clean brush and you can use it again and again and again, and your friend can use it, and then their friend can use it, and then everyone can use the paintbrush. But I'm gonna right now, because I don't have my cup of water, I'm gonna put it in my glue, because we're done with our glue. But the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some red going. Now, where should I go with my red? Let's think about on the face. What things can sometimes be red? I think a nose could be red, eyes could be red, a mouth could be red, ears could be red. So I think I'm gonna go with a big red nose. A big red nose for my silly purple puppet. And as you're doing this, you might start to find that you might have a name for your puppet. Or you might start to see, if you make a mouth on your puppet, that puppet might have a voice. So start thinking about what the name of your puppet might be, or the voice of your puppet, or anything that you want your puppet to be. So I think I'm also going to do some little polka dots of red all around my puppet, because I'm really liking the red that's happening right now. Look at all this red. Some little polka dots of red. All the way around. All the way around. I'm going to dip it in more. More little polka dots, more little polka dots. But I'm going to make sure my red nose is really red. So I'm going to put a little bit of extra red on my puppet. So now we're off to my favorite color, the blue. We got our aqua blue. Aqua blue. And so this is a lighter color than the rest of my colors. So I have to be really careful that I don't mix in the blue with the purple or the blue with the red. So I'm going to make my eyeball right here. I make another eyeball right here. And now I have two beautiful blue eyeballs for my silly looking purple puppet. And now I'm going to make a mouth out of my blue. Mouth out of my blue. And look at that. We have a full puppetry face, a full puppet face that we've just done in like 10 minutes. This is my favorite thing to do in the whole wide world. So the thing that I really want to do, and I forgot it at the beginning because I just didn't think about the color, was the black, because I really want to make sure everyone can see the eyeballs. So I'm going to just pour a little bit of black. And the cool thing about black as a color when we're painting is that you can usually paint with the same paintbrush, but then you want to really make sure you paint, or you want to make sure all the paint is off of that paintbrush once you're done. But look, I can go right on top, and I can put that. And you know what? I'm going to do some funny little teeth. And I'm going to outline. The other thing that I like to do on a puppet is outline the mouth, the nose, and the eyes. So I have now outlined my mouth. I'm going to outline my nose next. Outlining our nose, outlining our nose, outlining our nose, outlining our nose. So our nose is nice and prominent, all the colors we can see. And we're going to do the same thing with the eyeballs. Quickly, eyeballs. Wow. That is the beginning of our puppet head. So I'm really thinking, that my puppet head needs some crazy, wild, silly hair. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to try to do this with one hand. And we're going to make sure we don't get the hair all painted. Oh my gosh, there we go. Oh, got a big yarn mouth. Oh, look at this. So look, there's lots of ways you can do hair. I'm going to show you some tricks actually to do some hair, just because I always had a lot of questions when I was making my puppetry hair. I lost my string. All right, so this is one way that I like to do, is I like to just go back and forth making one thin line. Now this is if you want straight, beautiful, long locks of rainbow hair. This is the best way to do it because this will be easily pasted on top of the head. There's other things you could do. You could do a big knot on the head like this. So we could do something like this if we wanted to. We could go, let's do a swirl. How does a swirl look? So we're going to swirl it around our hand just like this. And we're going to put it on like a little rainbow crown. I actually think I'm going to go with my rainbow crown. I like the rainbow crown the best right now. So I'm going to go back to my paste, and I'm going to take my paste, and I'm going to put as much as I possibly can on the top of the head of my puppet, because I want to make sure that my hair does not fall off, right? Lots of paste. And you might want to even paste some of the string just so it can connect super well to the puppet head. So now I got all this paste, all this goopy paste, and there we go, a puppet crown to crown the day. And that is my puppet head. Now, as I look at my puppet for our last thing, I want you to think about how this puppet could have a name, can have a backstory. Where is this puppet going to be from? What weird world does this puppet live on? And why is it visiting Earth? Is it an alien? Is it not an alien? Is it you? Who is this puppet? We want to know. So you can start making a profile for your puppet head, and you can create your puppet character. So thinking of setting, where your puppet is from, thinking of the name. What voice does your puppet have? Does it have a really high-pitched voice? Does it talk like this? What kind of voice does your puppet have? And lastly, I want to know who's best friends with your puppet. Who's the best friend with your puppet? I want to thank you all so much for coming to my puppetry lesson. I hope you had a blast. I sure did. My name is Mr. Josh, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.